and thank you for coming out and taking part in horn trimming activity. I want to start off by saying that this activity is not something that we want to do. If we had an option, we would not do this activity, and we will just let the rhinos be as they are. Unfortunately, what we're doing this morning is quite an extreme thing, but it is necessary for keeping this species alive and these animals alive. So with around 2010, the big problem of rhino poaching shifted to South Africa, where in South Africa we started losing quite a few rhinos quite regularly almost, and we on Manyoni we were still fine, and we were hoping that we'll be okay with the security and everything like that. So it's increasing our security, and we did that, and we were fine until 2015. Then we had our first poaching incident. We looked things over and just trying to increase the security. 2016, we erected the guard towers. I don't know if you've seen it, so around on the reserve, those nice little lookout points. More boots on the ground. And into 2017, we were still losing rhinos. So we're realizing we're doing extra effort, but nonetheless we are still losing rhinos. So something dire needs to happen. And at that stage, the practice of this horn trimming was already being used in some other parks, where they've had some success of deterring poachers from them. So what this activity, it's not, in a way, it's not nice because it's not a permanent thing. That if you cut off the horn, and if we tomorrow now find the solution to rhino poaching and there's no poaching happening anymore, then we can actually just sit back and leave these rhinos, and those horns will grow out. So it's not a permanent alteration that we have on them, and so they will actually have the big horns again and they'll walk around. But it also does mean now that until we have a solution for it, alternative solution, we have to continue on doing this activity. So their horns grow on average about 2 to 3 inches a year. Depends on what stage of their life they're in. When they're younger, it tends to grow a little bit quicker than when they're older. And we have to cut these horns just for the fact, even though we're increasing the risk, if the reward outweighs the risk, and you get people coming in and trying their luck for it. So what we're doing now with this is we're reducing the reward, and so that the risk is higher than the reward, and then hopefully that deters people from coming onto the property. Also, essentially what it also does, it's making yourself look less attractive than your neighbors actually. So it's not a complete solution, it's just shifting it around, where you're just look better than some of the others. So the people that's a bit more on top of it with the horn trimming. If everybody's trimming horns, as long as you on top of it a bit more, then you'll be less desired place for people to even try. So it's not a fix all solution. We were put in a corner and we had to do something drastic. And since 2017, we unfortunately have lost rhinos. We've lost 3 rhinos. So it's in a span of 8 years. So it was quite a. We did see definitely it does help. But yeah, it's still an ongoing thing that we need to do. Because even October last year we lost a rhino on the reserve, so it's always a pressing factor, and it's something that we can't relax on, and we need to stay on top of it the whole time. So thank you for being out here and contributing and helping us to kind of do this activity. All right, so that's a little bit about why we do it, and now I'm just going to explain a little bit about how this morning is going to work. So we all kind of meet up here. So from here onwards, we've got a monitor, one of our rhino monitors. He's going around in his quad bike, and he's looking for rhinos. So he will go around and look for candidates that's got good regrowth, or kind of maybe kind of rhinos that's got nice big horns that's not kind of regrown, and kind of ready for trimming again. So once he identified a potential candidate, he will give us a call with the vehicles and the ground crew. The vehicle at the back there will get closer to that vicinity of kind of where that rhino is. Then the Manyoni representative, Mike, Dr. Mike Toft, the vet, will go up in the helicopter. We'll go towards where that rhino is, kind of analyze, or kind of have a look, identify the rhino. We'll dart the rhino from the air, probably about 3.5 minutes somewhere in that vicinity. Kind of after the dart goes in, then the rhino tends to kind of start staggering and kind of slowing down. At that stage, kind of with the ground crew, will then go closer. Then ground crew will make contact with the rhino once it's kind of standing or kind of like just about to lay down. Then first thing we do is we put blindfold and earplugs in. So because the drugs is more of a immobilizing kind of drugs, but Dr. Mike Toff will kind of have a little bit of a chat about the drugs that's used and everything like that. So you'll have a bit of a kind of explanation about kind of all of that. But it's more immobilizing than kind of like completely knocking out. So they can get stimulated, so we put the blindfold on and the earplugs in just to cut out kind of any stimulation from that side. Then we just position her for her legs, just to make sure that she kind of, I say she, but kind of he or she or whatever. Just positioning the legs, because you can imagine if you kind of sit on your leg a little bit funny, then you get a dead leg. Now imagine you're weighing 2 tons. It can be quite a severe dead leg that you can get from that. So just kind of making sure that the rhino is not lying like down, kind of head downhill, or kind of on the legs badly, or kind of like there's a branch kind of sitting awkwardly, or whatever the case may be. So then we'll kind of reposition, and then so whenever we kind of reposition the rhino, got the earplugs in, got the blindfold on, and then we'll be standing like this, just with a great big rhino between us. And then at that stage, you are welcome to actually kind of put hands on the rhino if you like. I'll just ask with photographs, kind of we're trying to prevent kind of the photos of the rhino going out with the big horn. So after the trimming, like I'll ask people to kind of also some volunteers just to kind of help take measurements of the horns and stuff like that. Odd little jobs, all depends on kind of what's happening, but it tends to be measurements and scanning for microchips and all kind of little things like that. And then Dr. Martov will kind of take a chainsaw and then just cut off the horn. Chainsaw sounds quite intense, but it's really quick, it's really effective, and yeah, it's the kind of the best way and the quickest way that we can do it. The vibrations of the chainsaw often kind of make them lift their heads, so it almost kind of appears that they kind of have feeling with it, but it's like clipping fingernails. So there's absolutely no nerve endings in the horn itself. If you go cut down too low, then that will hurt, but the vibrations is kind of, I always kind of say it's like, you know, when you're at the dentist and you kind of like your whole mouth is dead, but you can still feel that vibrations and still kind of the weirdest sensation. That's pretty much exactly what it is, that they're kind of feeling, and they often get just a little bit of lift of their head. And then once we kind of cut off the horn, then we'll have a bit of an opportunity just for kind of photos for everybody, just to kind of like kind of, hey, up and take, and there's a rhino. But we'll see what the time is kind of with that. So we'll try to kind of wrap it up quite quickly as it can. But luckily it's not too warm today, so that's also kind of in our kind of benefit. And then everybody's kind of taken photos, then we'll go back to the vehicle. If it's a white rhino, and it all depends on where the rhino is kind of went down. We will try to watch the wake up. A black rhino tends to wake up with a bit more thunder, so we give them a little bit extra space. So we don't watch the wake up with black rhinos. Sometimes we can, but the majority of the time we leave them be. And then that's it. The horn we then kind of remove. It's something that we can't destroy. It's kind of do anything with. The trade of it is illegal, and it always needs to be accounted for as well. So then the horn will go off-site and kind of locked up in a safe area. Because you can't just destroy it, even though that's what we would love to do, or anything along those lines. But then you get people that say, "Oh yes, we destroyed it." Meanwhile, it's gone, kind of thing. So it always needs to be accounted for. In the process, we also set up each rhino will have a DNA kind of link as well, kind of a DNA profile for all the different rhinos. That's what we've got a microchip in them as well, and we take DNA samples and everything like that. So if there is in the future a poaching incident with that rhino and we catch the poachers with the horn, we can actually connect them in that horn to the crime scene, and then the prosecution is easier. So we've got a chain of evidence essentially that we create with this. So that's more or less of what's happening this morning inside. Is there any questions from anybody? Yeah.
You said that you reposition. I wonder how you reposition a rhino once it's down.
Manpower.
Just a lot of men, because they're big. So I was wondering how you do that.
We've got kind of the guys on the back there, and we've got some extra men as well.
I got it.
So we've got a nice big rope as well, kind of thing, and that kind of tends to kind of get the. Sometimes it is a bit of a struggle, but we get it done. We get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering how you did that. I've seen those rhinos; they're pretty big.
They are. Yeah. All right. Anything from anybody else? All right. I'll give a bit of a chance for.
So we just run through some of how we're going to do it now. All right. Back in the early 60s, used to catch rhino physically. Long pole rope, chase them down. It was a big problem for rhinos. We used to lose anything up to half of them because of that form of capture method. Too stressful, and it resulted in around about 50% of them dying. So that's what drove us to look for drugs and drug systems, but we were limited by one big factor, and that is the size of the dart. This is a 2cc dart. This has come a long way. When we first started out, we had about 5cc darts, which is a teaspoon. This is half a teaspoon. So the drugs had to fit into darts this size. And that took us nearly 17 years of experimenting and improving on until we got to the group of drugs that you guys will know as the opioids. And I use an opioid today with the code name of M99. M99 is a synthetic version of morphine. Proper name is etorphine. The difference between morphine and this one is that this is 10,000 times more potent. Translates into major safety issue for us today. A needle scratch from the end of the needle or a drop of this stuff on your fingers will stop your breathing in a couple of minutes. Okay, please guys, where the dart goes into the rhino, just avoid it. You'll see I'll pull it out and I'll treat the little dart wound with a white antibiotic syringe. I'll leave that in the hole. It sometimes falls out, but you'll see where it was. If you just avoid a little patch around there, you'll be perfectly safe. The rest of the rhino, 2 tons worth, is easy and safe to touch. Okay. All right. Issues with the opioids. Massive respiratory depressants. Okay, in simple terms, that means it stops you and I breathing completely, stops rhinos breathing to a lesser degree. You'll see we've chased this rhino, should be blowing at least 25-30 breaths a minute. It'll be down to 6 to 8 when we get to it. That's the drug. Then to make things even more complicated, these drugs, these opioids, cause high blood pressure in the heart-lung circulation. Oxygen doesn't move out of the airway into the blood properly. And then the third issue that also happens with opioids is body temperature. Body temperature starts to climb as the animal obviously runs, but more importantly, it makes the muscles twitch. And you know, when you're cold, you shiver because that's your body's way of pushing the temperature up slightly. So if the muscles are twitching, the body temp goes up, and that's what these opioids do. So for each degree that body temp goes up, you need plus minus another 30% oxygen. So the whole way through using these opioids, we create a massive oxygen deficiency in rhinos. We stop them breathing, we stop them absorbing this stuff, and we increase the demand by pushing up the temperature. Short answer is that unfortunately, when you use this opioid on its own, you kill rhinos. Not all of them, but some of them. So what it did is it forced us to look for the next step, which was what can we add to the dart to combat some of those side effects. And we've ended up with 3 drugs in here. One is the opioid. That immobilizes the rhino, that knocks it down. It's an immobilization as opposed to an anesthetic. You'll see what I mean when we get to that rhino. It's not fast asleep. The second drug in here is a tranquilizer called azapirin. And what that does basically is 2 things. It means you can use less opioid because the 2 work well together. But secondly, it relieves that high blood pressure problem. So it actually helped us with one of the side effects. And then to get past that body temperature problem, we come here in the early morning, which is why you're here at this time of the day. We work in our winter months, which we're heading into mostly. We carry water with us. We carry a leaf blower to cool the rhino down. But the best way of keeping its body temp down is to have a short run. The shorter it runs, obviously, the less it's going to go up. We can do that 2 ways. We can add more opioid to the dart, and then they go down real quick. But then they have massive side effects that go with it. Or we can get this stuff into the system so it gets to the brain and all the nerves quicker. And to do that, what we've done is we've added an enzyme to the dart called Halase. And what that does basically is opens up the little channels between the cells. In goes the drug into the body much more quickly than it used to. In fact, twice the normal speed. And that rhino stops running 3.5 to 4 minutes usually, instead of 8 to 10. So it doesn't sound like a hell of a lot, but those 4 or 5 minutes can make a big difference body temperature, especially on a hot day. Today probably wouldn't make as much of a difference. Black rhino, they 100% with this mix. They can cope very well. In fact, we have to double up the dose for black rhino compared to white rhino. They take double the dose. With white rhino, they're still on the edge of just coping and not coping with this mixture. So much so that when we get to that white rhino now, you'll see the first thing that I do once we've got it semi-upright is I'll give it a partial antidote. And I say partial, we half-wake this rhino up again. So we knock it down hard to get it down quickly, then we bring it back up a little bit. Now, if I misjudge the bring it back up a little bit, then they stand up when we're busy doing the job. If that happens, just stand back. We'll put a rope around, we pull him down. He's not going anywhere in a hurry, but they can do. Biggest danger is he can fall on you. Okay, 2 tons of rhino, not a lot of fun.
That would not be
No,
good.
so just if that does, and it doesn't, I mean I get one in every 2-3 years if we're not watching quite what we do. Or it's just a quirky rhino. Sometimes they are. Once we're down, we'll do some measurements, we'll collect a few samples, and then we'll do the dehorning. You'll see we can't take the horn off at the base of the horn. If you've seen the rhino around here, they all run around with a little knob of horn sitting there. And the reason is that horn grows on a mound of bone. It's not just flat. If you cut it off at the base, you cut straight into the sinus. So you end up with a hole like that, which is not good. So you'll see that I'll measure about 4 fingers up from the base, and then I'll cut it. That leaves quite a chunk. So what we do is we cut down the sides all around until we've removed as much of the horn as possible. And then we finish it off with a hoof grinder Not because it makes it look nice, but because the ridges and valleys from the chainsaw cut are stress lines, so they crack along those lines. So by smoothing it up, we reduce the ability to crack. Okay, and then you'll see the guys will put on either some hoof oil or a spray over the top of the horn just to seal the ends of the little tubules that the horn is made up of. And basically that's it. Our job's done as far as the dehorning goes. You guys will then jump back in the vehicle. If it's black rhino, we will have to move out of the area, and you won't be able to watch it wake up because they get up a little grumpy, and they'll destroy vehicles and people if they can. White rhino is very placid when they get up, so you'll be able to watch. Just be quiet when they do. Let them get up. A couple of minutes just to reorientate, and then they're back to normal. The joy of using the opioids is the antidote brings them right back onto the page again. Okay. And you'll find that when they're done, they go off like nothing's ever happened to them. And that's the reason we use these particularly powerful drugs, is that you can get them down quickly, do the job, and then you can wake them up back to normal. There are other drugs, plenty of other drugs that knock rhinos down, but it leaves them groggy. There's no antidotes to them, and so we prefer this mix, even though it's been around for quite a while now. Okay. I think if we got questions, shall we chat around the rhino? Unless you've got something you want to urgently add now. Cool. Go and have a look-see.
Jetzt umgefahren.
Their own unique numbers. I want to say kind of names, but it's going to be, we allocate a number to them, and that's illustrated by these notches that's cut into the ears, and so that will represent the different numbers. This, yeah, is that nothing? So
Number
100, yeah. So that's kind of it's got a natural kind of tear at the top, but then it's also got a number. So we know this individual one. So from these we'll be able to kind of follow up. Oh, when last have we seen number 100? And kind of, oh, he's got a big horn, we need to do him. And he's living in that area. So even if we see, okay, now we realize, oh, we haven't seen number 100 for a while, we can go and follow up on that area that has been seen the whole time. Because now it's got an individual number. We can easily identify between them. But now let's say,
Yes.
unfortunately, something happened to this rhino, and it dies. Hyenas come past, and one of the first things that they end up eating, because it's nice and soft, is the ears. Then there goes your ID system, pretty much. So that's why we put a microchip in as well. Does anybody want to help scan for them? You want to take? So this one, you're just going to press and hold the button. So we tend to put it just behind the neck here. So just press and hold, and then just sweep around here somewhere. Just move around. So it's starting to rain nicely now. So you can,
Is it always on the left here?
yeah,
Usually that's
the go-to.
How far back should I look?
There we go. There we go. See, there we go. That's the microchip kind of number that's connected to this rhino. So we'll keep that into the records as well. Because then, even with the microchip in the skin, because the skin is about 1 inch thick, so it's even after the kind of it stays in the skin for a good bit of time. Do you wanna, Alex? You wanna take a bit of shelter under this tree, and just gonna get this microchip number down.
Why don't you always use microchips for tracking? Like the elephants and the cheetahs had the big collars. Why don't you always
That's
use?
not a microchip. Microchip is inert, has no battery, can last 100 years.
Okay.
That's
The collar will
So it
last
doesn't
a year
it
and a
doesn't
half.
track at all?
No,
Okay.
not a tracking device whatsoever. It's an identification device.
Did you feel like here it's really firm, but up here there's a little bit of softness to it. Not soft, but a little bit more give. Or he's just
No, all through the
And the crease of the hip is really soft.
oh, really?
You said
In here, Mitch.
Yeah, it's gonna be more soft.
That's alright, those ticks are fast. They're not looking to jump on me.
They've got a meal right here.
I'd say it's not quite there.
So this in the ear,
Sorry?
this
That
in
was
the ear.
the half wake up that we gave him. So you can see him moving his ears. He's actually listening to us, sort of.
Hello, we love you.
That's where the dark ones.
And after the procedure, does the rhino recognize that something's missing? Or?
You know, big head, little brain. Yeah, it's they don't.
Mitch, what do you
Done
have?
actually quite extensive research to see whether there have been any post-dehorning issues. There are some minor ones, but nothing of any real major consequence.
So there's nothing, no effect on the behavior after that.
There is a little bit of effect on behavior.
Okay.
What has happened is that the bulls, this one not yet because he's not yet got a territory, but the territory sizes have contracted or shrunk slightly. And the reason for that is that they used to have long horns with big points on. And they used to, when a bull challenges another one, they would fight and inflict quite a lot of injury. That other bull would then run off for miles because he didn't want to be anywhere near where he was going to get badly injured again. Now, because they've got no horns, there's virtually no injury happens.
Okay.
So it's just blunt trauma. So when the guy runs off, he doesn't go as far from the one he was fighting with. So the territory, this guy's territory, has ended up getting slightly smaller, particularly with black rhino, but we're also seeing it with some of the white. Okay,
So is this what kind of rhino?
this is a white rhino.
I can't tell because it doesn't look white, so I can never tell.
The white does not come from color, by the way. Okay, it came from the Dutch word for wide, bait. When they first saw them, they landed back in the 1700s or so. They saw these wide-lipped, so they call them bait rhinostas. Okay, so in other words, wide thing, but it got translated into English as white.
Oh,
So then the other ones became
How can you
black.
tell the difference?
But there's nothing. How can you tell the difference? Very easily. There's a
For
great
you,
big-
easily for you.
These no, let me run through it with you. These great big hump here, you won't see that in a black rhino. It's much smoother. The head is almost half as long. The lip is prehensile in a black rhino, a bit like a little trunk. Got a little pointed lip which he's able to grab.
And this is
branches and
wide.
Leaves.
So the
This has got a great big wide mouth like this, which mows the lawn basically.
and the black rhino has, you said, is shorter. Or
A shorter head, yes, which is why he doesn't have such a big hump here. And then white rhino have a very prominent spinal process here. And you'll see on a black rhino it tends to run reasonably flat there.
which one is more plentiful, like more of them?
From a behavioral point of view,
No, just numbers. Of
plentiful. White rhino are about 4 times as many as we have black rhino.
Alex was
I think we'll
saying
use the
black
the
rhinos
petrol
horns
one,
are
thank you.
longer, So they got poached more. Is that
Sorry?
Alex was saying on the way that the black rhino's second horn is longer, and so they got poached more because they
Yeah.
have more ivory.
Yeah. So a black rhino can have a long horn, almost longer on the back than the front. Okay, not always. White rhinos tend to have a very long front on them, or they used to. We don't let them have them anymore. But it's what keeps them alive, and so we've just got to keep doing it. Okay, guys, we're just going to do the dehorning process. Watch your eyes, that's all. I promise you I won't chop your legs off as long as you're not too close.
The horn almost looks bigger in here than it did from the air.
All right, so we can't cut off anything more than that. So we'll be cutting here. Okay, like I said, 4 fingers up from the base, plus minus. So that's the line that we'll be using.
like fingernails, but it's gotta be harder to...
Just check that one's full. There's 182 and 104. That's the other one. Thank you.
Yeah, you can even smell it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is it
Is it made of a silver?
our bones?
You've already marked it.
Yeah, it's number 100 and then the day.
Roof oil is better.
Yeah.
Is it made out of the same?
It's keratin, yep. It's made out of exactly the same.
Pull it and break it.
It's decently heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's heavy. Did that side get to see it already?
I don't know.
No taste.
It's like eating your fingernail.
Exactly. It has no taste. It is just keratin. Just here.
So why do these poachers think that that's
So Alan's
medicinal?
It's not. It's
Somehow
the consumers.
It's not the medicinal quality these days that's driving the price. It's the status symbol of owning a rhino home, basically.
Oh, that's even more sad.
you stick one in your.
Well, they're not illegal in the country.
Did you guys get to see this?
Well, they are semi, but
Anybody, a last little volunteer just to, I might get your hands a little bit dirty, but if anybody wants to help.
I'd love to
no,
help.
there was some medicinal.
No, Emma, you go ahead.
attached to them. There is a mild.
So all we're doing is
use for them, but it's
this little tea
certainly
tree
not
oil.
worth 100,000
It's roof oil that we just put onto
No, that
where
value
we've cut
comes from
this
that status symbol.
the horn now, so it's just a moisturizer, just to as it
Give
doesn't
you a little spa,
Well,
buddy.
it depends what it weighs, but about a per kilo is
so
100,000.
it doesn't dry out and kind of crack because we've now exposed it to kind of air. So
Just any of the white area?
all the white area, exactly. So it's kind of a bit more of a, almost dabbing,
Well, in a
but
fully
yeah,
grown rhino with a
kind of
proper
things you can do, whatever works. There's no right or wrong really, just get it done on there.
That's why they're willing to risk their lives for it, I guess.
Why is it darker in the center there?
I was just about to ask the same thing, Kay.
It's just the
It's the growth point where it grows from, and then as the hairs mature and move out, they lose
Amber,
colour.
what's that you're putting on it?
You said tea tree oil?
yeah. So it's like hoof oil that you put on the horses as well, kind of when you kind of treating the hooves. It's just because now it's all of a sudden it's now exposed to the oxygen and everything like that, so it can potentially like dry
Does
out
somebody
and
else wanna
crack
do
and
this
stuff like
one?
that.
Just, I already got to do this one. Is that okay? If she does it?
100%, yeah, of course.
My hands are a little bit dirty, but
Oh, here, Mitch. Mitch.
I mean, I don't know if tea tree oil will really harm your phone, but okay.
You know what you're
I've done a
doing.
few.
Thank you.
I've done about 4,000 of them now. Of these dehornings, yes.
So you don't just do it in Maniola?
No, all around.
Oh, got it.
Mike, were you part of the team that came up with the right dosages and everything like that? Has that been part of your
No,
career?
that's been going since. Listen, we all do to a degree.
Yeah.
What we do
You
is
give feedback on what's
yeah,
working,
we've
what's
all
not working.
collaborated over the years. The drugs have changed. Some of the drugs have changed. There are new drugs available that are reasonable, but they don't give the same. In my book, they don't give us the same immobilization.
Yeah.
see this guy's quite comfortable,
That looks good, yeah. Thank you.
relaxed, but he's still aware of us.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And when we're finished, we'll wake him up. You guys will be able to watch him.
Oh, he's warm. He's
Because of the
warm.
conditions is
All right, let's take up. Let's take some.
That's a good picture right there, dude. Get a picture.
I think so. Yeah, thank you.
Das sind die Mauerstücke. Hello.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Keep them safe and alive and so on. So, but yeah, thank you for coming out and contributing towards this and allowing us to continue on doing what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.